Ma'am?
Well, little I understand says that folks who are trying to sneak over the border from Central America, there are separate laws that apply to them versus those who are Mexican citizens. What happens if, I know you have to go through some sort of rigmarole legally with these people, what happens if you put them on a bus, send them right back to the border? Does Mexico refuse to?
You're absolutely correct on that, right. The Mexican government will not accept what we refer to on our paperwork as an OTM other than Mexican. That's where our paperwork has on it. And I like it, but we are the executive branch. That's what we deal with. They won't accept them. They'll kick them back. Actually, they'll bring them to the port. If you guys don't know the difference between Border Patrol and Customs, Border Patrol, we work in between the ports of entry. The port of entry, that if you've ever been to one, Canada or Mexico, they lawfully admit you. You get in the line, you present yourself for inspection, and that's what a customs officer does. Border Patrol, we work in between the ports. That's our jurisdiction. So we work in areas that people don't present themselves for inspection. Sir, in the back.
Do you know whatever happened to agents Ramos and Campion that were jailed for doing their job 15 years or so, a long time?
Yes, I am familiar with that case. I believe they were, it wasn't pardon, it was, they were, I forget the term for it when the president can do it, but they were basically let go, but it's still, they weren't being able to come back with their job and everything else, so they were. No, it wasn't a pardon.
So they had their sentences commuted.
Thank you, thank you. That's where I was looking for, you're right. Sir, in the back.
Yeah, I was just wondering when you were mentioning about in Las Vegas that they could only handle 100 deads or something basic.
Right.
Well, it seems like Sheriff Joe Arpaio down
In Arizona.
yes, sir. I used to live there,
Yeah.
and he established the 10 cities. And
Right.
if they're good enough for our prisoners, it should be good enough for everybody. And maybe the government.
It's not just the warehousing, it's the process. We have to identify them. We have to, a lot of issues that a lot of people don't see, I didn't want to get into, is diseases, tuberculosis. We've had active strands where they're kicked back from the marshal's department and they say they won't even handle them in the prison system. So there's a lot of stuff that goes through than just warehousing.
You know, bed space or, like you said, warehousing, that's nothing to, sardine them and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I'm sorry, I can't comment more because we arrest them and then we look at our leadership to dish them off somewhere. Sir?
Speaking of that, how much paperwork do you have to do for each detainer or arrest that you make? How many hours of paperwork does that require?
I mean, it depends on your seniority level, how long you've been doing this job. I could probably knock out 4 cases, and these are expedited removals, which are the more complicated cases. Probably about 4 in a day, probably 4. But that's depending on what their criminal history is, how far does the agent dig into their background and look at the disposition of each crime. It varies, so, yeah. Sir?
Yes, has our government thought about putting our troops on the border, or National Guard, especially with the ISIS threat coming up?
I can't comment on that. I'm not sure what
I think that'd be a
the
concern.
operations are, but that's a good question. Ma'am?
What's the purpose of the Border Patrol? I was told the story of a grandson of a friend of mine who is a border guard. He says he arrests them in the morning, and when he's going home and picking up his car, they're out on the street.
Have I seen that? Yes.
No,
But is that typical?
What's the purpose of the man even having that job? If this is what they do, they let him out again.
Well,
And that's in the United States. They're let out and they're walking in the street.
well, not in the United States.
This is what
That's just of recent that we have where they'll give them a slip, piece of paper saying, hey, promise to appear in court. And here you go. Before, when I first joined, we would do what we call a voluntary return. And what that is, I could process now instead of 4. With a voluntary return, I could do maybe 50 in a day. And I could roll their fingerprints, check them out. And then if there were no criminal history within the United States, then I would send them on a bus and send them back south. So, would I see them within the same shift? Probably not. But, so to answer your question on that, It depends on the location, I believe. Anyone else? Ma'am?
The pictures you've shown us were from a number of years ago, and there's pretty exclusively Yuma.
Right.
I've never been down in that neck of the woods. What do we have to worry about here? What is your best advice to us about what we should look for and what we should do other than vote against this measure? How do we keep ourselves safe? How do we help you when we're so many hundreds of miles away?
Oh, that's a good question. I believe the answer lies in our enforcement, our ability to do our job. Right now, we're getting scrutinized on the border for us taking maybe an extra hour coming in from the field. Or, hey, you took too long to do X, Y, Z. That is something we're getting scrutinized right now. I'm telling you, there's a perfect storm brewing right now. We are, to answer your question, what you can do locally, Yuma will affect what happens here. San Diego will happen. Where are they coming, right? They're coming in through the border. Where are they gonna go? And that's the whole purpose of this. It wasn't to frighten you or to get you upset, is that if you have an area that they look at that is accepting of them, and the ability for them to drive cars, to bank, to do whatever they need to do, the regular privileges that you would get with a driver's license, I understand it's a driver card, that you're creating this magnet. And so that's where you can start, at least, is, I would say, vote no on this. I mean, it's pretty common sense. Sir in the back with the black shirt.
Derek, thank you. We support you 110%, and we need a border fence to help you. But tell me this, who are the real, when I see videos like this, I think, who are the real criminals in this situation? That's sort of a symptom of the disease. Are not the real criminals of this situation every elected official, Republican and Democrat, who creates and lures these people into this country? And who refuses to use E-Verify, because this is where it all starts.
I agree, but I'm not going to comment on that. I think it's a whole lot of work we need to be done here. So,
I understand Border Patrol agents are frustrated that they aren't allowed to do their job.
Right.
Was there a time when they were, and what would bring that back?
Yes, I'm going to answer that in a simple answer. Yes, we are frustrated. There's a lot of agents that are disheartened. They have seen many agents, killed in the line of duty for doing their job, and then they're told, that it's kind of meaningless when you have, bills passed or stuff that goes on, that we're risking our life out there every single day. So I'm told I'm pretty close. Ma'am?
Yeah, I have read somewhere that terrorists from Middle Eastern countries are actually schooled and trained in how to dress, speak, and behave so that they can look like an innocent Hispanic farm worker and sneak into the country because it's so easy to get through at the southern border. And I was wondering if you find this to be true.
That is a true statement. I know from firsthand experience that we have had a group come in. They look just like your regular any group that comes in. And it wasn't until identifying them, asking them, hey, just the moment, where'd you come in from? The guy's just sitting there staring and not understanding. And then we're going through his stuff. We brought him in, and he ended up hitting on the terrorist watch list. So yes, it does happen. I'm short on time. Two more questions, yes, sir.
Yes, I'd like to know how many terrorists you estimate is coming in through that border in the last few years. I got a border patrol agent in Texas, and he told me how much is coming through. And Muslims are going into Mexico by the thousands, practicing small arms and explosives, learning the Mexican language, and then coming in, like she said. How many do you estimate are coming in?
I wouldn't be able to give you an answer. I have no idea.
Dave said 10,000.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any comment on that. I don't know. One more question.
Derek,
Yeah.
Many of us here are concerned about, as we've talked about, the crime, the increase of crime with the increase of illegal immigration. We have drug cartels now here in Salem and in Kaiser. We had some kind of gang violence right now in Red Robin in Salem, a hamburger place a few weeks ago. asked if family members had been there just before or after. How is voting for driver cards? We used to have driver's license for people who are here illegally. That didn't make things safer at the time. There are many, many deaths due to that. What do you think about that situation with regard to drug trafficking, drug cartels, and how passing this bill might impact us in that way?
We have about 4 questions in that one question. I'll try to answer as best I can. First, with the crime rate, I think that's everyone's responsibility. You can observe, and I think it goes back to your original point. You can report things. You see something going on, a house that's, people, high traffic coming in and out. I mean, any local law enforcement can tell you the things to look for illegal activity. I don't know so much about if it's just illegal alien activity. That we wouldn't be able to distinguish. I don't think there's going to be a test for that. But bringing this, having the mechanism, you're giving them a legal document. You are impeding on law enforcement's ability to do their job. Because as soon as you present me with an official document that's endorsed by the state, showing me that, hey, this is who I am, how do I know? How do I know that's you? What are the safeguards and the checks? If you look at the law, it says if something about the safeguards for the particular consular card. I've seen real fake passports, meaning they're issued by the Mexican government, but they're fake passports, meaning they never really issued them out. They got a hold of them somehow, either photo substitution or whatever they did. So I present that now to the local consulate office, and then they issue out a card. Who says every week I can't go and change my name and get another card? I mean, I don't know if I answered your question all the way, but I mean, I don't think there's really one answer to your question on that. And I just think that there's not safeguards for this, for even verifying the consulate of who they're issuing it out to. So, I thank you guys for your time. I left some business cards in the back over there. I have my email on it. That's probably my preferred method now. Don't get offended when I don't email you right away, but usually I try to get back to everyone as quick as possible. Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me.